Welcome to Graywood Gardening and welcome to the seed starting layer. Now, on the topic of seed starting, I've long been a big proponent that when it comes to your seed starting medium, that anything that calls itself potting soil or seed starting mix, it's all going to work just fine. It's all good enough. It's going to get your seeds growing. And for many years, that philosophy has led me well until this year. The normal seed starting mix that I was using, I ran out of. So I ran to my local big box store. I couldn't find anything that was organic, which is what we prefer to use. I ended up going to Menards, where I found this just natural organic potting soil. It's locally sourced and produced. It sounded perfect. I grabbed several bags, brought it home, and the first sign of trouble came a few days later, because this was sitting outside and it was still cold out at the time at Menards. When I got it home, it sat in the seed starting layer for a few days. When I opened it to use it, I noticed there were little shoots growing throughout the potting soil. So this had live seeds sprinkled throughout it that once it got warm started growing. I should probably have just dumped it then, but I had stuff that needed to get planted and I figured, if there's some extra seeds in there, which is really annoying, but if something starts growing that's the wrong thing, I'll just, pull it out. So I planted my seeds, and within a couple of weeks, it quickly became apparent that anything that was growing in this Just Naturals potting soil was doing terribly. And anything growing in any other kind of potting soil was doing just fine. And let me give you an example here. These are jalapenos that were planted 5 weeks ago in this potting soil. As you can see, they're incredibly stunted. They've got these curled up leaves, this reddish color on the leaves, and they're not growing. This is terrible. The same thing happened to all my tomatoes, even marigolds, which marigolds will grow anywhere, but they would not grow in this stuff. They sprouted, they turned reddish colored leaves, and they haven't grown. Now, I finally got some real potting soil that wasn't this. But I didn't have any more jalapeno seeds. So what I did is, where I had several jalapenos growing, I carefully pricked one out and replanted it into the new potting mix, which is this. This is 2 weeks ago that I did that. And this is amazing. This tray is literally the exact same plants that sprouted in this tray. Where there were 2 like this, I pulled one up, and I planted it over here, and 2 weeks later, this is how it's growing. So I'm not sure what the cause of the problem is, because at this stage of growth, the seedlings really don't need nutrients from your potting soil. In fact, germination mixes usually have no nutrients at all. So it's not a lack of nutrients. Normally, I would think that it's some kind of pathogen, like a bacteria or fungus, that's causing damping off. But if that was the case, I kind of would have expected that pathogen to transfer when I transferred the seedling, and it didn't. Maybe it's something like an excess of nutrients, like there's way too much nitrogen here and it's burning the seedlings. I'm not sure. All I really know for certain is I have to amend my philosophy that any potting soil will do, because that's clearly not the case, although most potting soil will do. And strongly advise everyone, never ever buy this Just Natural potting mix from Menards. This stuff is deadly to your plants. This is what it grows, as opposed to this. Fortunately, when I transfer them over into a good potting mix, they started doing well. These are definitely way behind for the year, but I've got another few weeks for them to grow. I'll still get plenty of jalapenos. I'll just get them a little bit later in the year. All right, well, I hope this has been useful to you. If you have any idea what's actually happening here, please leave a comment below and let me know. And until next time, happy gardening.